Good evening. Would you please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. And welcome to the great room of Memorial Hall in Townsend for the 2015 Townsend Candidates Night, which is sponsored by Neshoba Publication. My name is Gene Rauhala, and I'd like to take this opportunity to thank Neshoba Publications for what is their annual opportunity for the town to see and listen to our candidates. And I'd also like to take this opportunity before we start to thank all those candidates who are here tonight for their willingness to serve and their willingness to be judged tonight, because that is the single most important thing to this town government. And for these people, they deserve a round of applause before we even hear one word from their mouths. As we like to do, we have kept the format a mystery to the candidates. And tonight, just to show that they have the spirit, they will each have 2 minutes to introduce themselves and to offer their 2 minutes of presentation to all of us. After that's occurred, we're going to open the floor up to questions to all of the candidates. All of you who are here tonight will have your opportunity to be recognized. Maybe. Depends on Mr. Cloutier and the amount of time we have. He's guaranteed us all night. And you'll have the opportunity to pose those questions to those candidates who you want to pose them to and listen. They don't know what order they're being called up in, but we are going to follow the official ballot. And what we're all thankful for is that the election is 2 full weeks from tonight, or today. It's an all-day affair. April 27th. Please take the time to come down and exercise your franchise. And just to make sure that everybody is in the room at the proper time, we are starting with the Board of Selectmen. The first name, Sue Licio. Start the clock when she gets here. You have your 2 minutes.
Thank you, Gene. Thank you for coming tonight.
At least I could.
I'm going to take my glasses off so that I can see. Hello to all of you, and thank you for coming tonight. I appreciate the interest, and hopefully there's a whole bunch of people watching us at home as well. For those who don't know me, my name is Sue Licio. I'm running for re-election to the Board of Selectmen, and I've been in town for almost 40 years now. My husband and I moved here with our 5 children. We now have 5 grandchildren, and my favorite thing to do is to spend time with them and to cook for them, and they love to eat. I want to thank Gene for moderating tonight. I want to thank Neshoba for putting this on. Most of my work career, I just want to give you a little overview, most of my work career was spent at Nebs/Deluxe, and I managed a staff of salaried people. I also led teams in conversions of systems. A lot of change management went on there. And I have experience in management, budgeting, and analytics. Since moving to Townsend, I've been active in school and community organizations, PTO, Little League, CCD teacher at St. John's, co-chair of a St. John's Bazaar. I've been honored to serve the public and my local community in various positions. I was the school committee member. Learned about 2.5 the hard way. We presented school budgets to the town meeting as they do today, and I negotiated with several different unions. We hired a superintendent during my tenure as well. I've also served as an appointed member on the Finance Committee, and I'm currently a member of both the Townsend Charter Review Committee and the North Middlesex Regional High School Building Committee, 175 meetings and counting. I'm humbled and proud to say that I have served Townsend on the Board of Selectmen now for 6 years. In addition to the normal responsibilities of the position, while on the board, I have participated in local legislative sessions, ensuring that our state senator and representative hear Townsend's voice and hear our needs. I've attended multiple workshops and training sessions held by the MMA, and I am here tonight to ask you again for the privilege of considering me for serving the town as a Board of Selectmen member for another 3 years. I look forward to your questions. Thank you.
Our second candidate for Board of Selectmen, Mr. Gordon Clark.
Thank you for all coming tonight. After 40 years of public service, I have decided that it was time to get back to the community. Can't? Thank you. I'm height challenged. All right. Thank you very much. Do I get my time back there? Thank you. After 40 years of public service, I have decided that it was time to get back to the community, who, with my wife, Patty, has raised our family for 29 years and called home. My first action as a candidate was to call Selectman Sue Lizio and to thank her for her public service and to assure her that I would focus on what my vision for Townsend was. I also told her that I had no tolerance for negative politics, and that if she heard that there were any personal attacks on her or any other board member allegedly coming from me, it would be untrue. I have kept my word. I then called Selectman Colin McNabb and Carolyn Smart to inform them that I was running and that I wanted to build a relationship based on trust and respect. I then started listening, learning, and obtaining facts. I tried to use common sense to find solutions from citizens, employees, board members, business owners, and youth groups to find the needs and concerns of Townsend. What I learned from the people I spoke with was that they had a love and pride for Townsend that was truly very special. Their concerns seemed to concentrate mostly on leadership, integrity, and a lack of working together, and also common sense from management in Townsend. While talking with my dear friend Bill May about my belief that the children and seniors were a priority for me, and that the children were the future, we need to build a community where the children would want to stay and make the next chapter in Townsend's history. The seniors have built this town, and we owe them our gratitude. I expressed to him that our town was becoming increasingly divided, and this was not the Townsend I had grown to love. Bill May then mentioned to me the following quote that I would like to share with you tonight. Together, we can achieve the extraordinary. So I repeat, to the residents of Townsend, and to Selectman McNabb, and to Selectman Carolyn Smart, together we can achieve the extraordinary. It's time to work together. Thank you very much.
Stephen. For tonight's entertainment, we have the Amanda E. Dwight Entertainment Committee. Susan Gherkin has the floor. Perhaps. Well, I can do a few charades. No. Do we give them 45 seconds to take the podium? No? Oh man, you're tough. Well, moving right along to the Board of Selection, or Board of Assessors, Carol A. Marson. I'm not sure if I can pronounce that correctly. Oh, all right. Maybe we'll go to the full 3 minutes per candidate. Next on the list, the contest for Board of Health, Nancy A. Raposa. Oh, excuse me, I skipped over one of the assessors' positions. We'll first go to the Board of Assessors, one-year term, Laura Schifrin.
Out of sight, out of mind? I don't know. Okay, my name is Laura Schifrin, for those who do not know me. I have served in town government for over 35 years as a volunteer. I started with the Finance Committee way back when. I think it was 1978. So you figure it out. I'm not here really, it's not a contested position this year. Normally I run for a 3-year term, but our appointed one this year, Carol, has taken out the 3-year papers. We need to get new blood in town. That's why I wanted to come and speak. It's not up to those that have been doing it for 20, 25, 30, 35 years. The town will not grow. The town will not expand. You're not going to get new ideas, and you're not going to be in the future if you don't get your youth involved. And that's my main purpose for being here tonight. I commend Nathan. I saw him when he was little. I didn't even recognize him tonight. You know, we need more Nathans. My kids have left town, but they were told they need to serve in their community. They were on the rec committee, they were on the planning board before they left Townsend. And guess what? It rounded out their profiles when they went to school, when they went to college, when they filled out their applications for their job, for their future. It made them better people. It made the town better. We need to teach that to our children. It needs to start in grammar school. It definitely has to be part of the high school before they leave and before they start going off to college. Otherwise, they're missing out on many rewards. The community misses out on the benefits that our youth gives us. And they miss out on the experience of growing. It's nice to see all of you here tonight, but there's not enough of you. And there's not enough young people here. I like to keep myself youthful. I think the longer you're busy, the more you're involved. That's the way you're going to stay. But the rest of the community's got to come along. Thank you for listening to me. And I hope that those that are watching out there are going to tell their kids and grandkids to get involved. Thank you. Hope you'll all vote on the 27th.
Now the Board of Health. Nancy A. Raposa. Maybe yes? Maybe no. Bill Roberts. Oh, does make for a shorter night. We'll move to Cemetery and Parks, 3-year term, John B. Barrett. Good evening.
Good evening, everyone. I'm John Barrett. As I think many of you know, I am running for re-election as a Cemetery and Park Commissioner, a position I've had the honor to hold for, I believe, now the past, well, let's see, since 1988. So, as Sue said, you do the math. 27 years, maybe. And first, I guess I should thank Jean for hosting this, and the Neshoba for putting this on, and all of you for being here. I've served on the Cemetery and Park Commission now for, as you can see, quite a long time. I think we've achieved some of our goals over the years. One of the highlights, I think, was renovating the Common. Now that happened about, I think, almost 20 years ago, maybe closer to 15. But I take pride, having grown up in Townsend, basically born and bred here except for 4 years in college and 4 years when I was first married. This is my town. This is my hometown, and I feel that I want to preserve the town that I grew up in as much as possible, because I think it's a great place to live. It's a great place to raise your family. My wife and I raised our 3 kids here. And I would, I'm willing to continue to serve if the voters want me to continue and try to do what's best for the town. So, thank you.
Library trustees, 3-year term, 2 candidates, you can vote for 2. Kimberly W. King. How about Karen Kranick Waxman? Is the library open tonight? They must be, they're working. No, oh, okay. Well, moving along to the next North Middlesex Regional School District Committee position, 3 years, Robert K. Templeton.
Hi, I'm Rob Templeton. Excuse me. I've been on the school committee for the past 6 years. Also for the past 3 years, I've been chairing the North Middlesex Regional High School Building Committee. Again, an unattested position here, but again, to the woman here talking about getting folks into participation. What's always a bit surprising to me is there's a lot of talk about what the educational budget is and who's doing what and who's right and who's wrong. Yet over the past few weeks we've had a number of meetings discussing that budget, and there's been 1 or 2 people who have showed up. So we welcome participation, and we welcome folks coming and giving us their opinion and trying to talk through some of the issues that we have, because we do have significant issues. The budgets are not increasing. Each year we have to make cuts that impact your children and your grandchildren. So I hope to see all of you at our meetings in the future, and also going back to your thoughts on on participation. My kids are about to be done with the school system. I'm hopeful that once the building is built, that I'll be able to step down and just enjoy the new building and the work that goes on there. So hopefully next 3 years there'll be other interest in this position. So I appreciate your vote. I appreciate your support, and happy to answer any questions you may have.
Next, Recreation Commission, 3-year positions, voting for 2 persons. First, Alice T. Kennedy.
Good evening. My name's Alice Kennedy. I'm running for Recreation Commission again. We moved here in 2001 and 2002. I've been on Recreation ever since. I fully believe in the programs that we run and the Recreation Department as a whole. We do programs for toddlers up through seniors, and we think that the community, we give a lot to the community, and we think that we're really important to the community. So I just hope that you'll support me for the vote and that you'll also support the Recreation Department. Thank you.
Next, vying for the Recreation Commission, Christina F. McHugh. Maybe not. Next position to be heard from is the position of Trustees of Soldiers Memorials, veteran, a 3-year term, Stephen S. Spofford. You didn't give him a pass? All right, I won't go into that. The final position, I believe, on the ballot for consideration tonight is the Board of Water Commissioners, a 3-year term. First candidate to speak will be Nathan J. Matala.
How are we doing today? Everybody enjoy the weather? It's such a gorgeous day. Pick of the week. Well, for those of you who don't know me, my name is Nathan Matala. I am 24 years old, and I have lived in Townsend 23 of those years. I went to school here until high school, where I attended Neshoba Valley Tech for electrical, which is what I do now. I've also worked at Hannaford's as a cashier, bagger, and produce associate. At the same time, I was delivering pizzas and doing kitchen prep for Pizza Pizzazz. During the summer, when I was off school, I would help my stepfather with his plumbing job, his plumbing company. I saw there was an open position for water commissioner, and I felt that I would be well suited for that position due to my knowledge in the trades. Since I've been serving, I feel like we as a board have accomplished a lot this year, and I learned so much. I have always loved the quality of the water here in Townsend, and I am here for you and the town to help keep it that way. Thank you.
But you took my ballot. It's a rough crowd. Which brings us to the final candidate for the evening. No room. for this 3-year term of Board of Water Commissioners, Andrea R. Wood.
Thank you. I don't know exactly what to say, having been declared superfluous, old, and in the way a little while ago. I still think I have good ideas, and for a time, for approximately a year, I acted on the water department. There were a number of things that we talked about putting into place, lowering rates, replacing in increments the old mains in town, taking out mains that weren't taken out when they should have been when new mains were laid. None of those pieces of business have been addressed. I would like to address them to make the water department better and the town a better place to live in. Thank you.
Now, that was a very skilled group of orators. I think that was very, very well done. And you're halfway through your night's fun, and the audience gets to participate in this part of it. Even the candidates, I would say. Go right ahead. You'll have your chance. Yeah, I know. You may return. John is also on the ballot for a position that I've truly enjoyed, and I'm having a hard time giving up tonight. No, I'm not having that hard a time. So, the point of order is well taken. John may return to speak to his candidacy for moderator.
All right, thank you, Mr. Moderator. I hate to do that because I was really hoping that Gene was going to run again. I believe he has served the town extremely well over the past 16 years, I think, as moderator, and give or take a couple. And I think Townsend, has been really blessed with a long line of very good moderators. As I think all of you know, the moderator is the person that basically runs or conducts the town meeting, our annual town meeting and special town meeting. So his role is perhaps somewhat limited to those times. Additionally, the moderator does have some appointments that he or she makes. I felt that as I'd served as deputy moderator under Mr. Rahala for a number of years, and given my experience as an attorney, that I would be able to serve the town as a moderator. It is with some misgivings that I did go out and get my nomination papers because I really wanted Gene to do it. But failing that, I did turn in my papers, and I am willing to serve if the town would like me to serve in that capacity, and try to conduct the best meetings that I can. So thank you. Hope you'll consider voting for me.
Oops. So now to the question and answer period. And I think it's fair game that candidates can both ask questions and be questioned themselves. So, as I understand it, we have 2 microphones. One for the questioners that we can hear, and one at half volume for the candidates. So we don't necessarily, oh no. Oh, they come up here. Oh, really? Because I think if there's any questions for the uncontested ones, and there may be, I think we can do it in this fashion and let it go from there, I think. We'll see how many questions there are. If there's a lot for the one types of candidates, maybe we'll stick them up here over time. So, who wants to ask the first question? Yes, ma'am.
You're all set.
Thank you. Geraldine Bazakis, 84 Highland Street. This question's for Mr. Clark. When you were doing your stint up there, you mentioned that the town is increasingly becoming divided. I'm fairly new in town. I'm not new to the community, but I was wondering exactly what the division is and how do you feel as though it can be fixed?
Mr. Clark.
Thank you. Thank you for the question. Part of the statement was that which I've always done in my professional career, is that I listen, I learn, I get facts. As I did that, what I said was that I learned, first of all, that the people still love this town, they still care about it, but they felt that our government, there was too much spending time arguing with each other and not getting to the solutions and the facts. That's not to cast judgment. I'm not interested in casting judgment on people. I'm interested in moving forward and getting people to move together for solutions. That's what I've done all my whole career, whether it was in small towns or big cities. I would bring people together and move forward in a common good. Does that answer your question, ma'am?
No.
Let me try again.
Try again.
I don't quit easy.
One follow-up.
I'm sorry?
You have it. You have
I'm
the floor.
sorry. I guess maybe I misunderstood. So are you telling me that there's too much confusion between boards? Or are you saying there's division between boards in town? Or what is the division?
Actually, I have attended some of the boards here, and I actually saw that they were functioning well, that they actually were devoted to the town, and that sometimes I would get feedback from them. That's what I do, listen. I don't take it as fact, but I can only learn by listening and getting facts, is that they felt they weren't getting the support because everyone was too busy at the selectmen's level arguing with each other. And again, I'm not interested in saying who's right or wrong, but what I'm saying is that leadership needs to lead. And there's two ways I used to lead, and one was by example. If I'm staying above this stuff, everyone else buys into it and follows. And the other was by presence. And that doesn't mean micromanaging. What that means is being present so people know that you're listening. Now, I'm not going to make comments on everything. I'm going to make decisions based on facts. So lead by example. That's what I mean.
All right.
Thank you very much for your time. Thank you.
Next question. Yes. Mr. LeQueer.
Thank you. James LeQueer, 171 Fitchburg Road, Townsend. A question for Sue Licio. Recently, we got involved with a situation where we have issues with our trash, and we're going for a new contract. The Board of Health recently requested a selectman to be present on a committee so that we could negotiate the prices with the vendors that were coming in. As chair, you refused Carolyn the opportunity to come down as a volunteer and sent the town administrator in place, which we refused because we wanted an elected official that was a resident of Townsend. Is there a possibility that you could explain to me why you didn't send a selectman, especially the volunteer?
Questions for Ms. Lizio.
Well, I'm disappointed you didn't come and ask, but since you've asked now, I'll tell you, it was not me that decided that. It was the board. We voted on it, and the vote was to send Andy as our representative. I stand by that, and I'm disappointed that you didn't accept that appointment. And the reason that I'm saying that is because Andy helped you on the last contract that you did. He worked together with you and Tessa, and to my knowledge, that last contract was a pretty good one. It helped us reduce the trash amount. It helped us reduce the cost. And he's our chief officer in town, and he knows it better than any of us. So it didn't make sense to me. I try to look at things logically, and it didn't make sense. I tried to send him, and you didn't accept him, which I frankly don't understand. So it was not me, it was the board. Thank you.
Please. One follow-up.
I think there's a misunderstanding. I've been on the board 13 years. I've served my community to the best of my ability. We have asked for selectmen to come to our meetings previously, and we were told, well, you don't have a camera, so we can't go there. You have to come up to our meeting. I've been involved with the contracts, and I also know that the volunteer from the selectmen, Carolyn Smart, has a lot more experience than anybody else on the Board of Selectmen at this time. She's been around the longest. And I think when the Board of Health requested a selectman person, that we should have received a selectman, an elected official.
Would you like one last comment on that? Didn't appear to be a question.
Anyway, our understanding was that you were looking for either a member of the board or a designee of the board. That's why we sent Andy. The second time that came back, Colin volunteered, and Colin is now your representative.
Next question. Yes, ma'am.
Hi there, Emmy Hoff, North End Road, and I actually wanted to ask Alice Kennedy about the plans going forwards for Townsend Recreation and her position on the board and why she feels she'll be continuing to build Townsend Recreation for our community and for our kids and our adults.
Well, we'll get you a microphone. Find some good lighting.
It's on now. The Recreation Commission is actually looking for a home. I've been on the board for going on 13 years. We've never had a place of our own. All the directors that we've had work out of their house, store things at their houses, in their garages. We have a trailer that leaks like you can't believe. So we're in the process of looking to see about getting a permanent home. If nothing else, at least an office, so that people have questions, want to know what's going on. If they don't go to the website or come to the town hall or whatever, they have some place to go where they can talk to the director and find out what's going on. We have a meeting on Wednesday where we're going to talk about an offer that was made by the school department. They have offered to give us an office. It will probably be in the town of Pepperell, but it's an office. The town right now has no place to put us. So we're going to discuss that to see if it's going to work for the town and for the recreation department. We're very interested in the bank building, the annex building there, and we have met with the selectmen several times to talk to them about that building. Right now with the fire department having a new building being put up, they need a place to have storage. We have requested that they put storage in the library since that's not being used, and the town administrator and selectmen have refused. There's a lot of other storage in there that really needs to come out. Town administrator is going to look to the state to see about mold and lead paint issues in that building before anything is done with it. And we know that the vault in there that has a ton of papers and whatnot is really moldy. So unless that comes out so that you can have a real evaluation done, we're going to have another situation. So we're looking for the annex building primarily for office space at this point, maybe to hold a few classes. We'd love to have a sewing class. We have sewing machines, but we're not going to lug them back and forth every week for 6 weeks to hold a class. We need someplace permanent. We need a home, and we're hoping that you'll support us.
Any further questions for our candidates? Yes, Ms. Funioli.
This question is for Mr. Clark. As in your career, what types of jobs did you do that would help you as a selectman in finding the solutions that you're looking to find?
One thing that might answer that question for everybody here is my wife was nice enough to make a copy of Ann O'Connor's article, and those are her words. And I'll have, if you want, I can give you a copy after, and that's a little more extensive about some of the things I've done. I've been blessed to do in my life. I've been in public service for 40 years. The first 20 years, I followed and I learned. The second 20 years, I led and I taught. I started public service I was the youngest EMT in America at 15 and a half years old. What I learned from that at the age of 17 is I brought life into this world at 30 Ridge Street in Malden. I delivered a 5-pound, 7-ounce girl at the age of 17, and I learned the value of life there. And then within the same year, on Mountain Ave in Malden, I had to perform CPR on an 18-month-old child that was in a closet that I was unsuccessful with, that was due to a fire. And I learned the tragedy of life. And in the same year, because I remember these streets just like they were yesterday, I learned the difference between death and coming back to life. On Bowden Street in the projects in Malden, a young 18-year-old child was in a waiting pool. I was successful to bring that child back to life. So those are the basis of my learning. And then I fell in love with a girl in Medford, and I needed to get a job that had benefits. And I've been married to her for 40 years, and the best thing I ever did in my life. So I took a job with the Sheriff's Department as an EMT/officer. And back in the 70s, as some of you remember, AIDS was a death sentence. And addictions and mental health, that's what jails are about. And it bothered me because we couldn't hire nurses. All they could get is EMTs to come to the hospital. So to help my wife, I went back to school, nursing school, full-time and worked full-time. I had 2 days off a year, Christmas and Thanksgiving, and thanks to my wife. So I was able to treat, and I learned compassion, treating those that AIDS was a death sentence, treating addiction, which will later on become my passion about fighting drug dealers. And that was another lesson of life. And then my next job was that I was assigned to high-risk security transfers. And I learned about the court systems there. And that's my last job that I was learning and follow. And after that, I started going to academies and teaching. And one of the places I teach is the Plymouth Police Academy. And there's been 3,000 officers picked there that have graduated. And of those 3,000, since 2001, I was the officer selected of all the graduates to teach the new graduates a course on leadership, integrity, and team building. And till this current day, every class that goes through, every officer that goes out and serves the public, that's the course I teach them. And that's what I base my career on. Then when I started, I was lucky enough to lead great people. I'm not used to talking about myself. I'm used to talking about the people I led, the best, the bravest, and that you should be proud of them if you knew them. But I had the ability back in the 90s, school safety before it happened. I was the commander of Operation Zero Tolerance. With the DA's office, I wrote policies probably for 50 school districts, and I got the police, the parents, and the high schools to work together for safety of our children back in the 90s. Then I started training police dogs and also training officers at the same time. The team, 3 times I've been awarded the Medal of Valor, the Distinguished Service thing for during the, when the Democratic National Committee came. I led 4 SWAT teams in Cambridge, and the last was I was Officer of the Year. And I also had the largest drug bust ever in the history of Somerville. But every time that I had those awards, I would never, ever, ever accept them without every person on the team going up with me. I would never take an award or let the team. It's all about us together. So I don't like to keep going on this. The article's there. I'd be glad to give you one later, a little more, or I'll answer questions. I love answering questions one-on-one. I just don't like talking about myself. I like talking about other people who serve. Does that answer your question? Thank you.
Any further questions for any of our candidates? Yes, sir.
Hi, Dave Shuttler, 409 Main Street. This question is for Mr. Clark. Mr. Clark, you're running for selectman, which must mean you have a political agenda or something you feel fairly passionate about. Please name your top 2 issues and explain your positions on them. Be specific, please.
Well, first to correct is 110%. I have no political agenda. I've never been political. I've never had my name on a ballot. I've never put a sign out in my life. I have had the privilege of serving the public and teaching those who serve you. And that's been my blessing in life. So there's no political agenda. And also, as far as my number one thing is to have no agenda as a selectman. I want to work, if I'm elected. If I'm not, that's your choice. I want to work with Colin McNabb, since I've known him since 6 years old, when his father took my son now who down to the basement, and because he wanted to play hockey. Obviously, I don't look like a hockey player, do I? All right. And Terry McNabb took me down there and gave me a pair of skates. And I go, this is a wonderful place to live, all right? And that's part of the reason I want to give back. And then the agenda about I'm going to take sides. I never knew Carolyn Smart to 5 months ago when I went to a go-away party for my dearest friend in the world, David Prophet. I never knew her before. So the people who say I'm for this person, that's not true. I'm about what I do, privilege. I'm going to listen. I'm going to learn from you because I have a lot to learn. And when I make votes or decisions, it's going to be based on the facts. That is my word. That is what will happen. I'm not always going to be right, but I'm not afraid to reach out and get assets. It's all about putting the right people in the right positions. That's my number one thing, is to put the right people in the right positions and to be fair. I work for you if I'm elected to people. There's 3 people I answer to in my life. I'll end with this, I'm sorry. I used to teach, so I'm used to talking forever. But the first person that I ever gets questioned is my wife of 40 years, and I wake up every day, and I thank God I lived to her. The second person is when I go into the bathroom, and it's scary in my case, and I look into the mirror, all right? That's the person I have to answer. And the last person is, no matter what it was for 40 years, if I raise this right hand to be an officer, a selectman, a nurse, and take an oath, I answer to that oath. Besides that, I don't answer to any special interest. That's my thing. That's my life. You might not like it, but that's who I am, and I don't lie. Thank you.
Ms. Schifrin.
My question is to both selectmen candidates, and that is, what do you feel your definition is of the position of selectman, and how do you feel about the town administrator's position? What is your definition, and what is the role of our town administrator, and then what is your position?
Ms. Licio.
Hello? Yes, it's working. Well, all of the things that they publish on the role of the selectmen, be it from the state or from the MMA or from our charter, talk about the selectmen's major role as being policymakers. That's high-level stuff. Similar to the school committee. You don't get into the details of the everyday work. And that gets to the town administrator. Town administrator's the person who does the everyday work. And we pay them pretty well to know their job and to do the job. And lately, it's been difficult to separate the two because there is a difference of opinion on the board as to the role of selectmen. But that's the one that I hold on to because that's the one that I was taught, and that's how I read the regulations and the laws. I try very hard. I don't just try hard. I do not interfere with how our department heads do their job. I absolutely refuse to call them directly. I go through Andy if I have an issue or if a citizen has an issue that they've called me about. And the reason that I do that is I believe very strongly in the chain of command. And I believe that going outside of the chain of command is not a good thing for morale, nor is it a good thing to finish the goals that you have set. You have to give people the chance to do their job, and sometimes that's a chance to fail too. Okay?
Mr. Clark.
Hello. Selectman Lizzie, I agree with some of the things she said. But the thing about the chain of command is I'm very familiar about it. I teach it. I've been blessed that I've been brought into whether small towns or cities or DAs or even the hospitals, and everybody has to have a value in the system. The selectmen, the bottom line is that they're the ones who sign the contracts. Their number one responsibility is to you. They're the ones who are supposed to be evaluating how people are doing. So evaluations aren't a bad thing. It's just to see where people are, to give them goals, and to make sure they have the tools. If you don't have communication, that's half the time why we get this bid in this, is because people really aren't sure what everyone's role is. I've had a couple conversations, and I've told Mr. Sheehan that I am going, if I'm selected by the people, that I'm going to be fair. I'm going to base my decisions on actual facts, but I'm holding people accountable. They are employees. They are an asset. If you have an asset, you take care of it, but the asset works for you. I know when I work for the people. So I'm going to be fair, and I want to build team building. And I expect that from the bottom to the top. The same rules that apply for the person at the lowest level, they're just as important. There should be no different rules for the person at the top. If the person at the bottom gets evaluated, the person at the top gets evaluated. You lead by example. We're all equal or accountable, but we work for you. And the selectmen are your representative. I don't know if that answers your question, but that's the best. Thank you.
Further questions for our candidates? Yes, sir. Yes, the man who just raised his hand.
Hi, Dave Shetler here again. I wanted to re-clarify my question I asked earlier. This is going to be for both candidates. What are the top two issues the town is facing as you see it today, and what is your position on it, on both of them?
Ms. Lucio.
Biggest issue the town is facing right now is money. It's not a new issue, it's an old one. And it's kind of a double-edged sword. We have a beautiful community. It's a little bedroom community. We care very deeply about our natural resources, and that can be looked at sometimes as anti-growth. I don't think it's meant to be, but I think we need to find new sources of revenue for our town. Right now, relying on 2.5 as an increase on a levy limit is just not cutting it. We're currently working on a $250,000 deficit right now. Meeting tomorrow to see what we can do about coming into a balanced budget. 2.5% is more than your electric bill goes up, that's for sure. So living within those limitations to be able to fund the schools, the libraries, the recreation department, everybody that needs to do things for town. Money is the biggest factor. What I would really like to see and work on is finding ways to encourage small businesses to come into town. I have a vision for the community, and I'd love to share that. It has to do with making this a walking community. I'd like to see us walking downtown. I'd like to see us stopping in shops. I'd like to see a building that might today be abandoned, taken over to help entrepreneurs who are just starting up their own small businesses. Small business is the key to to the economy. It's the foundation of our economy, and I'd like to see that happen more in town. Preserve our small town, but still bring in business and bring in some more revenues too. The second thing that I think, the second thing that I would like to do is really to work together to figure out what's our long-range goal. Who are we? Who do we want to be? Where do we want to go? Do we want to encourage business to come in here? It's been a while since we looked at our planning and figured out, is that vision that we designed a few years back still appropriate? Is there anything that we want to change? How can we afford things like trash collection if that goes up? I mean, how can we afford to do all the things that we need to do unless we do something different? Now, if you're happy the way that it is, that's okay too, but I think we need to have those discussions. I think we need to review our bylaws. I think we need to review our zoning and see if there aren't opportunities to grow a little bit more than we have before. So I would say researching into who we want to be as a community and putting together some groups to actually work on making that happen.
Mr. Clark.
Thank you, Sue. Hello? I think I would break it down into two categories. One is the financial. We only have so much money. Everybody works hard here. And then the second is quality of life issues. There may be more than one thing. And on financial things is that I've noticed as I attend selectmen's, and I've traveled to other towns lately. I've gone and seen finance committees, I've sat on personnel committees, I've been to rec directors, I've been to highway superintendents to learn what other towns are doing. And I don't have the facts yet, but I find that a lot of things we're the only ones doing it, and that no one else is doing some of the things we do. Now, we're either the smartest people in the world or it's the other. I don't have the facts to make that determination, but I'm looking for solutions. But one solution I would have is, as everyone knows, whether you're a public employee or private out there, just being self-employed, trying to make it, is health insurance. And right now, that's one thing we can't control. So I would act, I'm not one person, I would go to Mr. McNabb and Mrs. Smart and try to get them to go together. That I have a lot of experience in negotiating contracts. I've negotiated contracts for memberships as large as 400, but then I've been a manager who's been on the other side. And what I would try to do is go to the unions and to the non-union people and say, I want to save so this is sustainable. And I would ask them to open up negotiations for the sole purpose, I've done this before and seen it done, sole purpose of talking about that new employees would be at a certain rate to make it. So if the town employees now are 80%, I would like to negotiate them that all new employees coming after a certain date would be at 70%. Or, again, these are where discussions happen. But that way we can control the costs. We have costs, but the things that are out of control, we have to be smart about it, and we have to work together. If someone has a good idea, I want to listen to it. And then the other thing is about quality of life. Right now, we've always been a blessed town, but due to a very special person in this town, we have some buildings that we could have never afforded. I am committed to making sure that that gracious, wonderful thing, these buildings are taken care of. We need to have a plan for that. And so that's a long term. We got a blessing in these, but that's an investment. We need to take care of that investment. Thank you.
Any further questions for our candidates? Yes, sir.
Brenton Carney from Worcester Road. Just a follow-up question to Mr. Clark about the town administrator question that was earlier. You talked about making sure that you are fair and that there's reviews along the process. Are you suggesting that you as a selectman would do the reviewing, or is this going to be falling on the town administrator? Because their checks and balances are important.
Positively. I'm absolutely not suggesting that I would do anything. There is no I in this. It's a team. There's 3 selectmen that you people vote, and we have to work together. So through a process of working together, we would come up with an evaluation process for all employees. So the process, and this is not picking on any one person, everyone should have the same process. And the process should be more than just about how you're doing your job. How can we assist you to grow in that job? Do you have the tools to do that job? And do you need remedial training to do better? So it's assessment. We need, as a board, to come up with a policy that is fair, that is legal, and that's accountable. And this has nothing to do with a single person. It's what the rest of the world does. If you work at Walmart or you work at MIT, you get an evaluation. All right? It's not a bad thing. It gives us a guide where we're at and how we can assist you, or if you're doing great. I actually, and I'm only one person, but for managers, I would be interested in performance-based raises for them, as many other towns do. Give them goals. If they accomplish those goals, you reward them at that rate, which will reward greatness and which not reward, you know, which incite people to do better. Not saying that anyone's not doing better, but if the rest of the world's doing it, let's look at it. I'm not saying that I'm open to listening to people, but let's make decisions based on facts. Is that answer or am I? No, it doesn't. Okay.
One follow-up.
So if it's if the board is the one who's going to be making the reviews, what is the town administrator going to be doing? Because he's going.
Okay, I understand. What he's going to be doing is hopefully having staff meetings with all his department heads on whatever, it's a weekly, monthly type of thing, and ensuring that all of them are doing their evaluations of all their employees. So that's chain of command. We would only be evaluating the top level people. We should not be evaluating the lower. That should be the people we hire, department heads. He's in charge of the department heads. So at that point, his job is to assure that down the road, that's his job. And our job is, until you ask, we don't know if he did it. It's like if you walked into the doctor's office and he says, "Hey, Gordy, how you doing? I feel great." "Okay, you're all set, goodbye." Would you be happy? You got to take a look, see how it's going. Even though I tell you I feel good, you need to look. And it's not a bad thing to be fair and to grow. So the administrator should be meeting regularly with the department heads to see if they have the tools, that they're doing what they're supposed to do, and that we communicate. One department shouldn't be, it shouldn't be this department against that department. We should be working for the good of you, all of us. Thank you.
Ms. Schifrin.
Just to follow up on what you said, I just want to be clear. Then, do you feel that it's okay for a selectman to go then and oversee, go into the departments and talk to the department heads and get involved in the day-to-day process of town hall? Do you think that's the position of the selectman?
I can only tell you what I do. I do not. You want your managers to grow. So if you're going in there and circumventing them, that's not the thing. You talk to them, but you have to have facts. If you never go out and see what's going on, be with the people, you don't have a knowledge what's going on. I never, ever get involved in day-to-day. That's what we pay people for. That's what I used to tell sergeants. That's your job. You're a teacher and you're a supervisor. I don't go and talk, and selectmen shouldn't be talking about small things, but they need to know what's going on. And the only way you do is listen. There's a fine line, but you have to be a manager of people. Some people have that skill, some don't. But I don't get involved in day-to-day. I agree with that. On the other hand, I have to go to the boards and just sit there and listen sometimes. So I'm aware when I have to make a decision, I'm basing it on facts, not emotions. So it's a thing, but it takes skill. You have to lead by example. And that doesn't mean let people do the jobs. If you're a supervisor, do your job. All right, does that help? Thank you very much.
Any further questions for our candidates? Yes, ma'am.
Hi, I'm Lois Howgate on Spalding Street. Just a question for both candidates, how they feel about the prospect of the rail trail continuing and being finished.
That's for both selectmen candidates?
Yes.
Ms. Lucio.
I'm excited. I love it. Can't wait.
I can only give you citizen's view. I don't have all the facts, how it affects people. But I will tell you this, from my training experience is that when I go to Cape Cod, the rail trails down there, the houses get 20% more if you're close to the rail trail. Businesses love them. So, but I want to make sure that people aren't adversely affected. But we need to have things that families can do. So I am in favor for it. I just want to make sure that we're considerate of the landowners. That means putting up communicate. But everywhere else, rail trails increase values, and it's something for families to do. We need to have stuff for families to do. So as Selectman Lizio, from the basis of knowledge I have now, I'm 100% for things for that recreation, that it's a good place to live, because it is a great place to live, but we need to draw people here back to our town, and that might be a good way. But I just want to make sure that the landowners are giving us consideration. Thank you.
Any additional questions for our candidates? Yes.
Obviously, the top issue facing the town was financial, and this question is for both candidates, how do you feel about more industry moving into town?
Mr. Clark.
Jobs put people to work. Jobs pay taxes. As long as it doesn't affect our quality of life, let's help them. I've actually gone out and I've talked to a lot of the larger business people one-on-one, and the thing I would like to change is, it's not to pin anything, they're actually afraid when they got to come to town hall. They don't see it as a partnership. It does no good to blame why that is, but I want our customer service. I like to improve our customer service. You don't do that with the employees by saying this bad, bad. It's a mindset. Give customer service. So I want businesses and the people to know that we're here for them. But yes to business, as long as it doesn't affect our quality of life. We need a tax basis to help our spending. I mean, that's good economics, but it can't affect our quality of life. But we can do that and keep Townsend what it is, the beautiful town it is. Let's do what we got to do to bring business in. Thank you.
Ms. Lizio.
I'd have to know more. I hate to hedge it like that, but it kind of depends on what kind of a business it is. I think that's why we do have the zoning and the master plan that we have now. When I say I'd like to increase the tax base or I'd like to make it more attractive to businesses, we first have to figure out as a community what kinds of things are appropriate. And as Gordy said, let's make sure that it's not going to interfere with the quality of life here. But one thing that I will say is I have witnessed myself the difficulty that someone coming into town trying to create a new building or put something in place has. It seems as though our boards don't all talk to each other about the same project, and it causes a lot of redundancy. I know we ran into that with the building committee. I went to several different boards, and it was like I was hearing the same questions and the same concerns. So I think we need to work a little bit to make it more friendly to business, if that is the case. So it depends.
Anyone have a further question? Yes.
This is a quick question for Gordon and Sue. I'd just like your viewpoint on our agriculture and our environment, where you stand with it, where you would like to see it go, how you feel about it. James Dorian, West Townsend.
Hello. I love nature. I grew up on a farm. It was the kind of farm that we didn't have lots of animals on it other than cats to kill the little critters in the barn, but it was an agricultural farm, and my dad owned a farm stand, and I worked in the farm stand, and the very first thing I ever sold was cherry cider. It's funny how you never forget something like that. Farming is in our family, so it's a soft spot for me. But also, I was a Girl Scout, and I grew up watching birds and identifying birds, and if you look at my backyard right now, I've just about spent my kids' inheritance on the shells that are out there. But I'm very protective of the environment, and one of the things that I get the biggest kick out of with my grandkids is teaching them to identify birds and insects and little critters. So very protective of the environment.
Mr. Clark.
Since I was 15 and a half years old, one of my best friends in the world, his name's Frank Matheson Jr. When you go down Littleton there on Y-90 on the right, that family's had that same farm since the Revolution, actually. Their grandfather got it for going away and fighting for this country's freedom. They didn't have any money to pay him, so they said, go out to Indian with them, Mohawk Indians are, and they've been there ever since. And as he's been my friend, I've seen how difficult it is for him to keep that farm, which is a quality life for us because it's open space. It's the culture of this town. But he's had it diverse. He's had to go from cows to selling grain, and now he has a store there, and he does farmers markets. So my thing to the farmers is come to the board and tell us how we can open up farmers markets for you, and then the people here can support local business, keep the money here, get better quality products, and we're supporting the farms who will help our quality of our life. And I told you I went out to businesses in this town, almost every one of them, and one of them I went to, because I'm trying to learn, I got a lot to learn, is Mr. John Hussey. I went up and says, hey, you sort of know me a little bit, could you take me for a tour of your farm here? And I said, he took me up there, and there's this Christmas tree thing, and they're building this thing, and they're putting the local plumbers to work, and you can go up there, and people from out of town will come in here and maybe stop at Cliff's and have a breakfast, and then go up and cut their tree at Christmas time. Money for people here, quality life. Thank you, farmers. You're part of Townsend. Let's have a farmers market, all right? I'm 1 of 3, but you got 1 vote already, all right? Thank you.
Any additional questions? Yes, sir.
Hi, my name is Mario Oliveira. I'm just a guest. I don't live in town, but listening...
we won't hold that against you.
Listening to the candidates, all the candidates, I'm very intrigued. I have a question for both candidates for selectmen. It's a 2-part question. First is, what your opinion is of the most single important trait, characteristic that a leader should have? And secondly, how would you promote core values and within your organization? How would you encourage your leaders, the other selectmen, to promote core values?
Ms. Lucio.
I'm not sure I understand the second part of that question.
Sorry about that. How would you and the rest of the Board of Selectmen promote core values to the public, to get people interested, to promote creative ideas, to make your town the better place that you want to have?
You're talking to volunteerism and encouraging that in the community. I think Lori talked a bit about that. How do we encourage our children to get involved? Sue and Lori and I were kind of chatting about it before the meeting too. It starts at the schools. It really does start at the schools, but it starts at home too. Do you talk about it with your kids? Do you talk about that? Do you do it as an example. You know, kids learn from their parents. They learn from what their parents do and don't do. So I don't know what I as a selectman would do except keep saying that and keep encouraging it. But I think it really does start at home. And I think people need to start figuring out, what do I give back? How do I give back? Some people, it's always the same people that get involved all the time. And it's pretty sad. It's pretty sad that we only have a couple of contests going on here in town. I wish I knew the magic wand, you know, the magic solution for that. And I'm sorry, the first part? Characteristic for a good leader, I think, is leading and not looking over somebody's shoulder. It's being there if they need advice. It's guiding rather than micromanaging. And it's a lot of intuition. You sometimes have to listen to what isn't being said in order to figure out how to make it better. And you listen by what you see, and you listen by the results. So I think that's what a good manager does. I think you do less talking and more observing, and then talk about it after you've observed.
Mr. Clark.
Full disclosure, Mr. Oliveira is here of his own accord, and a couple other people, just so you know that. I didn't ask them to come. They just showed up tonight. They used to work with me or for me, and just so you know that, all right. Leadership. It's taking people together to a place that's good for all. It's not being the boss, it's being the glue that makes us all go towards a common goal. It's looking in the mirror and say, I'm not the best, but I'm going to give you my best, and people know that, and that they buy into that, and they say, I can trust this person. But respect is not given or bestowed, it's earned. So if you want to be a leader of people or teams, you have to earn this respect every single day. Now, as far as creating an environment for children here, well, 29 years ago, I married a girl from Meffa, well, 40 years ago, and we wanted a place where our children could grow up in an environment that was conducive to being good human beings. And Laurie Shifton found us a house. Well, the team did. And the people of this town helped me and my wife raise our children. So this town, my daughter's a nurse practitioner, and my son's a sergeant of the Wellfleet Police Department. They're very educated. This town is part of that success. So every one of you, you know, the Bill Mays of the world, and the Terry McNabbs of the world, and there's so many special people here. So if we're together, we can produce such great human beings here. The Dave Prophets of the world, you know, who took his own time to help with Atwood Acres. I know he doesn't like me saying this. Those are the people who came here, and I want more of those kids to stay here to build our future so they take care of me when I'm old. But the truth is, together, we can achieve the extraordinary. I said that earlier, but it's more true than ever. I don't know if that answers your question, but thank you for being Townsend.
Any further questions? Yes, Mr. McPhee.
Max McPhee, 182 South Row Road. This is to both the selectmen candidates. It's about the pipeline. My understanding is that the proposal that was given to FERC would go through the towns of southern New Hampshire, but that would still include a spur line connecting Brookline to Lunenburg, and that would be a spur line going through Townsend. Can you share your thoughts on the possibility of a spur line going through Townsend?
Ms. Lucio.
I'm not fond of the idea, if that's what you mean. I don't feel any differently about that than I did about the main pipeline. I think we just have to wait and see. The same people are protesting against it. The same people are, even the folks in southern New Hampshire are now getting involved with the same kind of protest that we took part in before. But it has to go through the whole process, and we'll just have to see what happens. Hopefully, it won't, but there may not be anything we can do about it, but we'll keep fighting.
Mr. Clark.
I guess you're asked this question if you people choose me to be your selectman. And the first thing I would do is I just listen to Sue Lizio. She seems very articulate about it. I'm going to ask her, respectfully, if I was a select person, if she could bring me up to speed. I can already tell that she's invested a lot in this. So I would ask her for her knowledge to help me out, because she's invested a lot. But the bottom line is, the answer to this is, if the people don't want it, I represent you. The answer is no, right? Some things are gray. Some things affect your quality of life. It's not my pick. I work for you. You say no, the answer is no. All right? Is that the answer? Thank you.
Any further questions for our candidates? That's a good question, but I don't think they're in the audience tonight. But I think we've reached that point where we have enjoyed the candidates for a full evening. Each one gets a closing statement. All right. In reverse order, for those who wish a closing statement, we'll begin with Andrea Wood. Give Andrea a microphone. Andrea, we're going to bring you a microphone.
Nobody can hear you at home? Nobody can hear me at home? All right. Thank you. I hope that you all do vote, and whomever you vote for, participate in government as much as you can, volunteer as much as you can, and we'll all be better for it in the long run. Thank you very much.
Nathan Matala.
Well, I appreciate being able to serve for you for the past year in the Board of Water Commissioners, and I hope I can continue to sustain that in the next 3 years, and I hope I can count on you guys' vote. Thank you.
Robert Templeton.
Pretty much the same thoughts as everybody else. I appreciate everybody for coming tonight, and I appreciate your vote. Thank you.
John B. Barrett. You get to close twice.
Well, thank you, Mr. Moderator, and just thank you, all of you, for coming out, and remember to vote Monday, April 27th. Thank you.
Laura E. Schifrin.
I think tonight was really interesting, and a lot of discussion about the youth, and I hope that that message is taken at home as well as in the papers and in the schools. I think we have a lot of good candidates, and they all have talent. And just going back to Andrea and her remark before, she and I served on the Finance Committee in the 70s together. So if you think you're out the door, nobody's out the door. It's just that we need to have more participation, and we need to have youth to take our place eventually.
Keeping one foot in the door.
Eventually. Okay, I hope you're all voting on the 27th, and thanks for being here, and it's nice to see all your smiling faces.
Gordon N. Clark.
Thank you. First of all, I'd like to thank the sponsors for tonight's event, but most of all, I'd like to thank the voters here who took time out of their schedule and their busy lives to come and care about Townsend, because Townsend is a beautiful place to live. No matter what happens with this election, it's just a wonderful place to live. Even though some of our current administrators haven't received a job performance evaluation at Townsend since 2002, on election day, you, the voters of Townsend, get the final evaluation of what direction Townsend will follow. If elected, my core values as selectman will be based on leadership, integrity, and team building. Sue Lizio has a record which I'm sure she is proud of. A basis for you to evaluate her skills to lead and to be a team builder to bring the people of Townsend together for a better Townsend. Since most of my professional career has been in communities across the state away from my beloved Townsend, it may be difficult for you to evaluate my ability to be a leader. I'll have a handout here if that would help you after. Retired Detective Mario Oliveira, one of the state's highest decorated police officer, is here tonight at his own request to answer any questions you may have on my ability to provide leadership, integrity, and team building after the debate. A little history on Detective Oliveira. In November 2010, Detective Oliveira was shot 6 times while assigned to the ATF task force removing firearms from violent felons and gang members. Detective Oliveira has dedicated his life since his recovery from his injuries to caring for the families of first responders affected by violence and assisting those affected with post-traumatic stress disorders. He is my hero and my friend, Detective Oliveira, and thank you for coming to Townsend tonight. Thank you. And he'll be here to answer any questions you have about me after. For nearly 2 decades, I wore a tag around my neck given to me by the officers I led. And on it is the following quotation: "It takes teamwork to make our dream work." I believe that quotation is exactly what Townsend needs at this time. Townsend is truly a great community. The direction we travel is up to you, the voters. Thank you.
Ms. Sue Lizio.
Thank you, Jean. Thank you all for coming. As I said, I'm really glad to see your faces and your bodies here, and hopefully there's a whole bunch more at home watching as well. I would imagine this is going to be rebroadcast on cable. Yes, Steve is nodding his head, so anybody that missed it, that's fine. I think in closing, the only thing that I want to say is I've given you 6 years. I'm willing to give you another 3. The things that are the most important to me about being on the board are being totally transparent, that we have discussions as a board. I do not believe that board members should have individual conversations with department heads unless that department head is at our meeting so that you, as the public, can hear what the conversation is like. That's the reason for transparency. That is the reason for the open meeting law. It's not right for any one of us on any board to go on their own and have individual conversations about your community and the business of your community unless we meet as a legal board, and that is an open meeting law. I see it all the time. I'm concerned about it. We need to be more ethical in how we represent you, and you need to know all of the conversation. If I had my way, every single meeting that we have would be taped and televised. At this point, we can't do it, but every single meeting that every board has is your meeting. If you can't get to the meeting, that's the only way. But I've had trouble even getting agreement that we should post minutes on the website. That's public information. I hate to see it not happen, but they turned it down at our last town meeting. So I'm more concerned about how we conduct business and that we do it above board and that you are involved in it. And that is, without a doubt, my biggest concern. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Lizio. Those are the final words for the evening. And I'd like to say, once again, thank you to Neshoba Publications for sponsoring this for the town. I'd like to have a round of applause for all the candidates who exceeded all of our expectations. Thanks to all the voters who are viewing us and tuning this in over the nights between now and April 27th and during the day. And most importantly, thank you to the floor. You had wonderful questions. You were able to sit and listen, and you did a great service by being here. You perhaps deserve the loudest ovation. And with that, I say good evening.